It's time for a haircut. Got to get cleaned up. Come with me today. I'm going to introduce you to my barber, Danny. All right, so you ready to get into the first question?
Let's go.
All right. So, Danny, you're from New York, is that right?
That's right.
What got you into being a barber, and what brought you down here to Johnson City, Tennessee?
Those are the million-dollar questions, man. Every time I open my mouth and people hear my accent, they know I'm not from here, and I get asked that all the time. What got me into barbering was when I was 4 years old, I got hurt at work. I used to work with my father doing flooring. Did it for about 15 years. And I knew I wanted out of that industry, but I didn't know how to get out of it. When I was getting paid good money, and long story short, I got hurt one day on the job. And my wife at the time was pushing me towards changing careers. And my cousin was a barber, very successful, still is, on Long Island. And I went and I shadowed him for a day, and it was like the most amazing experience in the world, man. I just saw him talking about the Yankees and the Mets, and he was wearing clean clothes, and I'm like, man, I can do this, I can do this. He used to be an instructor, and he told me like where to sign up for barber school, and I showed up the first night, and I knew I was in the right place. It was a calling for me. And what was the other question, Noah? How I got into it, and what made me leave New York?
Yeah.
Okay.
What brought you to Johnson City, basically?
What brings anyone to Johnson City? We trip and we fall, we stumble here. Now, Johnson City is we actually, when we put the house up for sale in 2021, the housing market, as being a real estate agent, it was booming. And we just wanted to see what we could get for the house at the time. And sure enough, it was something that we couldn't turn down. Put the house in the market. 8 days later, we're in contract with no real plan, but we knew we weren't going to stay in New York. Tried South Carolina first. It was a cool spot, but it really wasn't for us. And then my ex stumbled on this Facebook mom's page, and they were talking about a little hidden gem called Johnson City. Never thought about Tennessee, never thought anything of it, but we showed up sight unseen a couple of weeks later and fell in love with it, man. We actually landed in Jonesboro, man. It was amazing. Yeah, it was awesome. It was cool. Actually, we arrived June 28th of 2020, and it was like 50-something degrees outside. We had just left 10-degree weather up in Pennsylvania, where we went back up to after South Carolina. And we stumbled on Southern Craft. And that was our first exposure to Johnson City, and we fell in love with it. It felt like home a little bit, but it was a cool place to land, man.
So what's the secret to keeping clients for years?
It's a great question. So for me, it's about client rapport and building relationships. When I first got into the barber world, I thought it was about just giving fresh fades and showing up on time, keeping your clippers clean, and it is part of it. But the bigger part of it is caring about your clients. I think people can tell if you enjoy what you do, and I feel like people want to get behind that, you know what I mean? People let me into their lives. Being a barber is like being a therapist at times. You go through the highs and the lows with your clients. I know all about your family. I've met your family.
I tell you all my problems.
Totally, and you can. Any barber worth their salt is a vault.
Yeah.
When you tell me something, it starts and stops with us. And it's kind of like a doctor-client promise that you're not going to tell anyone anything, you know what I mean? And so people feel comfortable with that. And I think also the key to keeping clients is being consistent, man. I remember being back in New York and my very first repeat client. It was at this barbershop called The Men's Room, and shout out to James and Jay and all the guys there. They're just awesome people. But it was this kid, Ryan, and he sat in my chair and he said, man, I loved what you did. Just do whatever you did last time. I was about 2 months out of barber school, brand new licensed barber. And I sat there and I'm like, on one hand, I'm glad that he liked it. On the other hand, what the heck did I do? How do I repeat that? And that's the biggest thing, being consistent. And maybe that's the key word, being consistent with your cuts and being consistent with your relationships. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The best ability is availability. You know what I mean? You can be the best barber in the world, but if you're not there for your clients, how good are you? People need to get their haircuts. So
yeah,
I think that matters, man. And you know me now, and it's like, I would bend over backwards to you. I always tell you, I'm like, if you need me, hit me up at night, man. Hit me up at night.
Yeah.
Let me know before hours.
I always feel bad, but sometimes I need it.
Yeah, but sometimes you need it. But you're a homie. So it's like, I want to do with you. You're not a new client. I remember you telling me, weren't you one of the first clients at JC Mail?
I was
the very first client.
Mail ever had.
Like when you talk about loyalty, bro, like you are the definition of loyalty, you know what I mean? And obviously I see you more than a client, I see you as a friend.
Yeah.
But even just as a client standpoint, you want to do good for the people that do good for me. I got a 14-year-old daughter who I love more than the world. And all my clients, you know, keep the lights on, keep the food on the table. I appreciate all you guys as much as you appreciate me. But just to go back for a second, we were talking about what got me into the barber world and into the industry that I love so much. And it was my cousin, Joey Balanzi on Long Island. And I asked him, I said, Joey, man, what's the number one rule of thumb with barbering? Can you give me one really good piece of advice? I'm thinking he's gonna give me something about technique, like clipper over comb or do this in this situation. But it wasn't anything like that. What he told me was, the best advice I can give you is every client is a blessing. Every single client, because they're gonna eventually become your friends. And they're the reason you get to enjoy what you do every day. If without clients, I'm just sitting where you're sitting. Pretty cool.
Yeah.
That was an awesome piece of advice to get when I was
100%.
just getting going. I was like, oh, it flipped my perspective on what the industry was. I think that also helped me stay engaged with my clients. And I still hear that to this day. October will be 11 years in the industry for me. And I still hear Joey's voice. Every client's a blessing.
Okay. What's the funniest or weirdest request you've had in the chair?
Oh my God. Funniest story. I had to do a skullet one time back in New York.
What is a skullet?
So a skullet is essentially you're bald up here and then the mullet happens back here.
Oh.
And
That was in New York?
That was in New York.
Oh, wow.
That was strange, man. I've had some odd requests, man. This was maybe about 5-6 years ago in New York. A kid wanted to just shave around here. So we looked bald, and then he was going to come back later in the day and get a haircut before he went back to his parents. I was like, okay, we can do that.
Yeah.
So we did that. He got 2 haircuts, and that was pretty weird. But I would say nothing too crazy, you know what I mean? The places I'm at that I cut at are demographics pretty chill. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm sure there's funny stories, but off the top of my head.
So if somebody's unsure what kind of a haircut they want, because I guess that happens sometimes,
Sure.
What kind of haircut would you recommend for the person?
So with AI now, the use of AI, you can just throw your picture into AI, like a ChatGPT, and get them to recommend a haircut that'll fit your face shape and your hair texture and stuff like that. I would also say go onto Google and Google either short man's haircut, long man's haircut, medium length man's haircut. Go to images and find someone that has the same texture of hair as you. So if you have curly hair or fine hair or thick hair or whatever type of hair you have. Now, if you bypass all that and you just come to see me, we're going to consult. We're going to sit down, we're going to talk, and we're going to decide what you do for a living, what's appropriate for your job. We're going to find out what haircuts you've had in the past, how often you come in to get a haircut. That matters. Face shape, head shape, hair texture, all that stuff. And then we'll find a solution for you. But typically you can find something that it fits their lifestyle.
Yeah, that's good to know.
Noah, it was great to see you as
Thanks,
usual, brother.
Looking good now. Good job, Danny.
Appreciate you.
Danny, tell everybody how they can find you if they want to get their haircut with you.
So first I would love to meet all of you and be your barber. Come down, stop down at CS McCullough anytime you want. 207 East Main Street in Johnson City. And you can go on to the CS McCullough website, log on, and you can see all of our available times and days. Looking forward to meeting y'all.